Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 369. This episode I am so excited about because guess what? I'm a total book nerd. Yep, I am. So today we're going to talk about 10 books that are must reads for women. And I just think it's an essential book, or these are essential books that every woman should read. So we're going to go talking about conquering self-doubt to mastering the art of resilience. All of these books bring huge insights, and they're some of my favorites. And I think they're going to help you achieve your badass goals. Now, I don't know. I said I was a book nerd, right? And I am. But I don't want you to be turned off if you're like, oh, I'm not a huge reader. I'm not this or that. Let me tell you several things. I am like the slowest reader ever. I really am. And I'm like an ADD reader because I read 10 books at once and bounce around. And regardless, from my days of reading one book at a time or now reading 10 books at a time, no matter what, I've always, from the beginning of time since I was little, had problems recalling what it is that I read. I could read it, and a week later, you ask me, "Hey, what's the book about?" And I'm like, it's a little ridiculous. I don't know what it is, but it's something that I do. And recently, I actually was going through some paperwork, trying to get rid of stuff that I don't need because I tend to hold on to paperwork and especially like stuff that I've read or social media content to create, like different ideas. I just love ideas, maybe. And so I have a tough time getting rid of it. And then I came across some papers and I actually used to do my own summaries of books that I read. And I'm like, ooh, this is genius. I like it, especially since I can't seem to remember what it is that I read. And sometimes I'll highlight the books, but I don't ever really go back and review the highlighted things. So I think that's something I'm going to start doing is creating little summaries or the quotes that stood out to me in the books that I read. And then I can feel like, oh yeah, I did read that book and this is what it's about. Or you can just take the essence of it. So I think that inspired me for this episode today. Just 10 awesome, badass books that I know are going to have a huge impact on your life if you haven't read them yet. So with that, let's just get started.
Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I am so glad you're here. Today, you're going to talk to me. You get me. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but yes. Um, Usually today you're going to hear from so-and-so guest. No, today, me. It's all me and you. We need to have a little one-on-one here. So we're going to talk about 10 books every woman should read. And here's the thing. Books have changed my life. When I didn't have hope, when I didn't know where my life was going, when I felt down and out, and I was just overall unhappy with my life and the directions that things were going. Books were my mentors. Books gave me hope. They helped me to realize that I could do it, that even if I was failing, that's okay. That didn't mean I was a failure. So I have a special place in my heart for books, and I kind of go in stages where I read all the time and then I won't read and then I'll read all the time. But these books have had a huge impact on my life, and I am confident that they're going to have such an impact on your life. So I can't wait to give you the 10. And then, of course, I want to hear from you. I want to know what books have had a huge impact on your life. What books should I be reading? I'm always up for book recommendations. I've thought I should really check out a lot of books from the library instead of buying so many books. I used to live above a library. And so that was nice because I could just always go and binge on library books and return them. And yeah, it was a thing just about 5 years ago. Not even when I was young. Okay, first is the book The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This book rocked my world. It took me so long to read it because I kept hearing how good it was. And I don't know, you kind of get a idea in your head like, oh, it's going to be too woo-woo. It's going to be too this, too that. And I have gotten more woo-woo, so that is a possibility. I'm not going to lie. But it really just changed how I saw our thoughts. And so often we think just because we think a thought, it must be true, and it couldn't be further from the truth. So it really like shook me like, oh yeah, all those thoughts I'm thinking, all those crappy things I'm thinking about myself, or the negative things, that doesn't mean that they're true. And then also it just puts things in a different perspective. In the book, Michael A. Singer talks about, he gave an example. You're on a freeway. Imagine you're driving down the freeway and then somebody cuts you off. And as they cut you off, you look at that car and you're like, "Oh, that looks like my ex's car." And so then all of a sudden you're like, "Ugh." And you just get mad and angry, and it puts you in a mood because you just saw a car that looks like your ex's car. It could have been your ex for all you know, and they cut you off. And so then the rest of the day, you're just kind of in a funk because you saw that stupid ex's car. And I could totally relate to that. It's just stupid little things that remind us of something else. And if we're not careful, it can send us down a rabbit hole for the rest of the day. And so I really appreciated that book for helping me to realize, oh yeah, my thoughts have power. The things that I think really can affect my day, even if it's something as stupid as like thinking you're seeing your ex's car. That can change the trajectory of your day. I don't know, words are hard today, so bear with me. But it's just to be aware of it, right? Just to know, like, oh yeah, these things happen. Or maybe you can have that same thought next time you get cut off by a car that looks like your ex's car, but then you can just kind of laugh at it, right? You're like, oh, I see you. I know what's happening here. And not get sucked into those negative thoughts or that rabbit hole that just puts the rest of your day in a downward spiral. So I would definitely recommend it. There is some sciencey stuff. I'm not good at the sciencey stuff. I'm not. I wish I was better. I'm not. But even with that sciencey stuff in there, I thought it was an amazing book. It's one of my favorite. It might even be my favorite. I don't know. Top 10 for sure. I say that since I'm giving you 10 book recommendations, but no, definitely one of my faves. All right. Okay. Number two, All It Takes Is a Goal by John Acuff. And it's Jon, and his last name, Acuff. This one is so good. I don't know. I haven't read a John Acuff book that I haven't liked yet. Soundtracks, ooh, that could have been on here too. I don't know. Now that I'm saying that, that's a tie. Soundtracks and All It Takes Is a Goal, I love them. But All It Takes Is a Goal, it really gives you strategies for achieving or setting and achieving your goals. And I really liked it because it was a different perspective. It's not the same thing that you hear over and over again on goal setting. And I love goal setting. I love the idea, I should say, of goal setting. I said that in quotes. But sometimes it just doesn't work as planned for me. So this was kind of reinvigorating. It was something new. It was a new way of talking about goal setting, which I really appreciated. And part of the book talked about conquering the future by categorizing the past. And you really look towards the things in your past to help you accomplish the things in your future or help you know what you want in the future. Because really, he asked this question. It's like, tell me what you want the next 20 years of your life to look like. Okay, tell me what your best times in the last 20 years were. I don't know about you. It's a whole lot easier for me to tell you about my best moments or best memories from the last 20 years. It's so hard to figure the future and what we want going forward. And so I found that encouraging. And you're making a list of all of these beautiful moments that you've had. And then, like he talks about, the more you think of small moments, then other small moments come. And some are big moments, like it might be a wedding or the birth of a child. But then there's also all these small, amazing moments that we forget about. And I just found it fun looking at those moments like, oh, yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah. Because life can seem ordinary and mundane sometimes, but really reflecting on all the things that you liked. And then it's like, oh, what did you like? What in your past sticks out to you? What are the moments that make you happy? And you take those moments and you try to create more of that for your future. Like, oh, I really dig camping in Lake Chelan. So guess what? I'm going to try to have more experiences camping in Lake Chelan. So the whole book really talks about looking at your past to figure out what you want more of in your future. I just found it like reinvigorating and energizing for a new take on goal setting because I just hear the same old stuff and it might be good. It just, I tune out. If I'm going to be honest, I tune out. It's just like, okay, I've heard about SMART goals a million bajillion times. I'm over it. And so having a different way to look at it is really, really helpful. Okay, the next book is Women, Food, and God, and it is by Janine Roth. Such a good book. I loved it. Matter of fact, so good that it's loaned out to my mom right now. And so my memory isn't going to serve me as well as I would like it to, but that's okay. I don't even have my highlights to look back to, guys. Can't look where I highlighted the book. Anyway, we're going to roll with it, but it delves into the psychological and emotional aspects of eating, addressing issues such as emotional eating, body image, and the quest for fulfillment beyond food. Now, I'm going to read a quote that I liked from the book, and I had to Google this. I'm just being honest because, again, I don't have the book with me. So it says, if we stop fighting with our appetites, if we stop moralizing about what we eat, if we listen to the hunger underneath our hunger, we find that we are actually very hungry for connection and for connection to our truest selves. I just really, again, I love this book. I thought it was so good. And I was like, where have you been all my life? I just wanted it and read through it and was like obsessed with it. And then, of course, I passed it on to my mom and have not seen it back. But I don't even think if you're into spirituality, the universe, if the whole God thing offends you, I think you could still get a lot of good stuff out of the book, but that's up to you. I just think it's so important because so many women, we put our identity in our bodies and our body image. And if we are overweight, then that says something bad about us. And really, we might feel bad about ourselves just because of how we look and how society has portrayed women and how women have to look and all of the stuff we see in the magazines, right? It makes us, and they're all airbrushed and have all this, they might look perfect, but you know what? Guess what? That's not reality because they're airbrushed, they're fixed, they have Photoshop, whatever, all the things. But we internalize it. We don't realize all the steps that go on behind the scenes, and we internalize it and make it mean something about us that we don't look like them. So that's part of the reason why I thought the book was so powerful, because it's really looking at like the psychological side of things, looking at the emotional eating and how that works. And I'm gonna be honest here, I've struggled with that. Tried several different things, but I really thought that book had an interesting take on it. All right, moving on. Okay, book number 4, Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead by Sheryl Sandberg. This book is so good. I'm reading it actually right now for a second go round, and I'm really appreciating it. It really looks at the barriers that women face for equality in the workplace and really the importance of stepping into leadership roles so that we can drive meaningful change. There is just so much in this book that blows my mind. And of course, I had forgotten it since the last time. But just how women are taught to behave certain ways and to do things a certain way and to be a good girl, right? And that's fine, but then it affects us later in life. And we're still seeing this reflected in business and the workplace because women still aren't equal to men. There's still a lot of differences. But then also language is different. How men and women speak is very, very different. And so that can affect things too. And so like one of the things that Cheryl had said was that conditions in the workplace will improve when women in leadership roles when there are women in leadership roles giving strong, powerful voice to their needs and their concerns. And so we need women in leadership roles. If we want to make a change, there has to be women leading the cause, right? And I know it can be easy to be like, oh, I don't want to be that woman. And I've thought that myself, but it's like, yeah, somebody's got to be, right? Otherwise, things won't change. One of the things that Cheryl's talks about is like there was a 2011 report from McKinsey, and it said that men are promoted based on their potential and women are promoted based on their accomplishments. And so, like, that's a huge difference. Why can somebody be promoted just because of their potential? And why does somebody else have to show their accomplishments? Like, that ain't right. Cheryl also says career progression often depends on taking risks and advocating for yourself. And these are traits that women are discouraged from exhibiting. So it's something as an adult you have to relearn. You have to be like, okay, I need to advocate for myself. It's okay if I'm powerful, if I take risks, but I need to advocate for myself or I need to relearn a way of doing this. And another thing that I thought was really interesting was in her book, she said, you know what? When jobs are described as powerful, challenging, involving high levels of responsibility, they appeal to men more than they appeal to women. It's almost like we need to look at job descriptions and like switch it a different way, use different language that appeals to women just as much as it appeals to men. Because right now, there's a lot of language that's just appealing to the men, or a lot of language in leadership type roles, right? But if we want it to be equal, then maybe some of that language needs to be changed. So this is some of the stuff that Cheryl talks about in her book, and I think it's so powerful. And again, we need more women in leadership roles. So that takes maybe reading books like this and learning about it and what we can do. I mean, I was kind of, it's funny, I was shocked, but not shocked. Some of the stuff is like, what? That's crazy. Like some of the statistics and stuff, and she shares a lot of different research and studies. It shocked me. But then it's like, of course, like I know it at a gut level, but it still was shocking to like read on paper. I don't know if that makes sense. But definitely something that I think is a good read. And ooh, something else that she said that I thought was really powerful was she talked about the whole idea of imposter syndrome and feeling like a fraud. And she said that she was shocked when she found out like she can't trust her thoughts. Just because she thinks she's not capable of going for a promotion or putting in for a different position doesn't mean that she shouldn't do it. And so I think we all often think that, right? We have this thought like, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. There's somebody more qualified. We have all these doubts that come into our head. Going back to untethered soul, we can't necessarily trust those thoughts, right? But Cheryl said that was the shocker for her too, is realizing she couldn't trust her thoughts. She didn't always know when she was ready for a promotion or a new position. So we have to be aware of those things, that sometimes we have those thoughts come into our heads, but it doesn't mean that it's true. So you have to learn to combat that. Well, you don't have to, right? You don't have to if you don't want to promote, if you don't want to get past that, that's on you. That's up to you. But if you do, then it's realizing like, oh, okay, just because I had this thought doesn't mean that it's true. I can still push forward and try. Book number 5, 13 Things Mentally Strong Women Don't Do by Amy Morin. This is another really good book. And I read this book and I immediately loved it. And I really just had binged it like a couple years ago. Somebody recommended it and I binged it. And I don't usually read that quickly, but this one I did. And, as I was preparing for this, I was going back, flipping through the book, looking at the highlights. And I'm like, oh gosh, you're gonna have to read this again. This is so good. And so it's just one of those books. For me, I couldn't put it down, but it just not only does it tell you different tactics that you can do, but it like spells it out. It gives you actionable steps that you can take, which often I don't see that, right? It seems like a lot of fluff. And so this was good to give actual specific steps, things you can do, tasks you can implement. And one of the exercises that I really loved in this book is I think it was talking about perfectionism, but it was like looking at how we perceive ourselves, how the outside world perceives us, and how we perceive ourselves on the inside. Because ideally, we want those to match up. We want it to be the same on the outside as it is on the inside. She has her clients do a shoebox exercise, and on the outside, it's how you present yourself at work, how you present yourself in front of your family, in front of people, right? You do all the ways that you present yourself, how people perceive you, everything that's seen on the outside. And then on the inside of the shoebox, you decorate it as how you feel on the inside. And she even said something like, most people feel like their family doesn't know the extent of their suffering because we have all this stuff that we keep on the inside that we never share with the people that are closest to us, which is kind of sad, right? That we go through all these hard times or we have all this suffering inside, but we never really share it. And so I don't know. I think I might even do that exercise because it's powerful. And she also describes at the end of each chapter, she goes through the 13 things that mentally strong women don't do. At the end of each chapter, she goes through how this applies to your career, how this applies socially. And I can't remember, there's a third category that I'm missing there, but she describes different areas of your life and how these things apply. So I thought that was helpful to kind of break it down. But do the shoebox activity. See, how are you seen on the outside and how do you see yourself on the inside? I think that's huge and it's important, but then it's like a visual representation, like, oh yeah, okay, well, how can I let more of how I feel on the inside be expressed to the outside world when it's safe, right? There's some people, sometimes it's not safe to share things and then you don't. But when it's safe, it's like bring more of what's inside of you to the outside. And then there's more congruency, probably less stress. I think putting up a facade, it's that alone can be stressful. That can feel heavy. I know, I think everybody's done it at different points in their life, right? Where you act how you think you have to act, or how your parents want you to act, family values, ways you were raised, how teachers made you act, right? And as weird as it sounds, some like it carries through our adulthood. And then we don't examine, like, why am I behaving this way? Is this really what I believe? Is this really what I want? Or is it what somebody else wants for me? So I think that that shoebox exercise could be huge, and I plan on doing it. Okay, so I'm breaking this up. 5 books today, 5 books on Thursday. Sometimes I found that it's easier to digest in smaller chunks. So I didn't mean to tease you, but I do think there's a lot of information that was given today. And if you're anything like me, small chunks. And so Thursday, you'll hear the last 5 books that every woman should read. So important. And I'm having fun with this. If you can't tell, total book nerd. All right, I'll see you on Thursday. With that, we'll end our show. Tell the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.